Hey guys, social media, everyone loves it. Some people like Facebook. Very few like Facebook. Some people like Twitter. Some people like Reddit. Me, for one, I've kind of been digging 4chan lately. And I know what you guys are thinking. 4chan, Paul, are you an incel? And to that I say yes. Yes, I am an incel. I'm gonna go through some threads. Hopefully this becomes a recurring video. Fight Club ruined an entire generation of men. Yeah, you can argue that it's a Hollywood machine movie. Yes, it's based on a book, however, and the book was not that well received. So the fact that this movie got made as like a big studio film was a bit of an anomaly. And not only that, but this movie was kind of a cult classic. When it came out, it wasn't all that well liked. I grew up with Fight Club. I was a teen that loved Fight Club, and I still love Fight Club. I think Fight Club is one of the greatest movies ever made, and it's because it resonates so well with men. It's like misdirected anger, the movie, which is basically a sentiment that guys feel in their teens. You trying to force a male version of Ramona Flowers meme? By the way, no men care about Fight Club anymore either. It's a movie that has aged like milk. I actually showed Fight Club to a younger person, someone who was in their teens back when I worked in a high school, and yeah, they liked it, so I don't think it's outdated. And when I watched Fight Club, I must have watched it in my teen years, which were like the 2010s, so women are worse. Yeah, that's where the incel reputation comes in. From highest paid actor in Hollywood to straight-to-video B-movies, the rise and fall of Bruce Willis. What went wrong? What went wrong with Bruce Willis? Well, I hear rumblings that, and there's many rumors going around. One rumor is he has dementia, and he's trying to squeeze as many movies out as possible now before he's unable to memorize his lines, which is why people notice that he has an earpiece in some of the films. Some other people say that he has alcoholism, which would also be unfortunate if that's the case. Look at what Nicolas Cage was often memed on for being a very straight-to-DVD red box actor, and he would be in shitty movies like Season of the Witch. But lately he's kind of been making a comeback. Every so often he'll make a movie like Pig, or Kick-Ass, or Joe, or Mandy, or Color Out of Space. I liked Color Out of Space. So I feel like Bruce Willis is perfectly capable of doing that. I think the issue is probably more his personality on set, and maybe he's burnt too many bridges. Kevin Smith is very vocal about how he had difficulty working with Bruce Willis, and I'm sure that's the case for many other directors, but a lot of directors say they really liked working with Bruce Willis. I remember M. Night Shyamalan saying that he liked working with Bruce Willis on Unbreakable and in that Mr. Glass movie. Robert Rodriguez recently collaborated with Bruce Willis on Sin City 2: A Dame to Kill For. That said, he does have a reputation for shitting on the movies he's promoting, and I think that might have burnt too many bridges, and maybe he is trying to do a Hail Mary with his career because he has dementia or something, but maybe because of the fact he's burnt so many bridges, he's having a tough time finding those roles. Using a Reddit screenshot for one. Yeah, I noticed that one too. Maybe he just genuinely likes acting. Maybe, that could be the case, Michael Caine will be in like some shitty movie like Jaws 4 and he'll be like, I treat it like a role. It's a job. I like doing it. That's my shitty impression. I blame the Red flicks. Yeah, I think his Red movies kind of drained the life out of him. Those Red movies weren't even that terrible. There's way worse shit out there. But when he was promoting the second Red movie, he really didn't want to be there. Someone says, will Red Letter Media delete their video? It makes them look like huge no. I think that video by Red Letter Media that he's talking about, they were kind of just questioning the business model behind it. And they didn't go too hard on Bruce Willis. From what I remember, I saw it back when it came out. I like Recluse Bruce Wayne. I never liked fake Playboy Wayne. Everyone complained about Keaton's Bruce, that he was too much of a recluse. Now, after all these years, people are realizing he was the best fit for Bruce. Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. I like the more moody, brooding kind of Bruce Wayne rather than the party boy Bruce Wayne. Because when I think of a party boy, I think of Tony Stark. One of the problems I had with the Christopher Nolan movies is I wish they would have showed that contrast a bit more, from going from Recluse to keeping a public persona on, just so people don't question him. I feel like there wasn't enough of a contrast. And as far as Ben Affleck's Batman, well, we don't talk about that one. And I honestly think Robert Pattinson is the best person to play Batman right now. People are gonna fucking roll their eyes, but I don't give a shit. I think Adam West is the best Batman, because when you think Batman, you think Adam West, almost. Maybe I'm an old fart at heart, but whatever. When he eventually comes back, people will be saying he's copying Iron Man. Yeah. The animated series, Kevin Conroy was able to portray the Batman, the Playboy, the real blue. Yeah, that's actually true. That's what I mean by the contrast. Kevin Conroy was able to go between each character that Bruce Wayne is playing, whereas I feel like in the Christopher Nolan movies, there wasn't enough of that contrast. Christopher Nolan is a very cold director. He's very good at technical things, but I feel like when it comes to like emotion, I feel like he's a little cold, in my opinion. And that's become more and more visible, especially with movies like Tenet, which people didn't really like Tenet, although it was like really masterfully crafted. People thought the characters were just too cold and like not relatable. Will it be Kino? I wasn't aware that they were making a Napoleon movie with Joaquin Phoenix and directed by Ridley Scott. Most famously, Stanley Kubrick wanted to make his own Napoleon movie, and you can go on the internet and look at the Napoleon script that Kubrick was going to direct. I don't know if that's the script they're going based off. Will it be Kino? Ridley Scott is really hit and miss. And this is coming from someone who liked The Last Duel and who liked House of Gucci. And I'm probably the only one who liked House of Gucci, because everyone's always like, the accents. The accents went in and out. What do I give a shit? It was a good movie. I feel like movies that take place in that time period, I have a really tough time connecting with them. For some reason, like that era where everything's like, I can't do it. It like drives me crazy. It's hit and miss with Ridley Scott. You can either get The Last Duel or you can get Robin Hood. The casting is Kino, but I give it an 85% odds that Ridley Scott will make it boring as fuck. Yeah, that's kind of what I said. It's a 50-50 shot in my opinion, not 85. If it's Gladiator, Ridley Scott, then it will be the greatest Kino of all time. If it's Prometheus, Ridley Scott, well, I actually like Prometheus a bit. Don't shoot me, guys. Don't shoot me. Just don't shoot me. Another Joker-like movie where an incel rises to power and destroys the world. Count me in. There we go. I like that. Poor people equal bad. The movie. I'm sick of sink and or swim capitalist propaganda in Hollywood. Okay, first of all, not in Hollywood. South Korea. Second of all, I don't think Parasite is as anti-capitalistic in its message as people say. And if you want to make that argument for something like Squid Game, which also came from South Korea, yeah, the point of Squid Game is that it's basically anti-capitalist. Not only that, of course, but that was definitely a theme in Squid Game. In Parasite, I feel like people are really forgetting that the main family, the poor family, you're not really supposed to like them in the movie. The whole point of Parasite is that everyone is really selfish and self-centered. And that especially comes into play at the end. Someone tells the dad, you're the first person who's gonna run away as soon shit hits the fan. And he does. He runs away as soon shit hits the fan. He's portrayed as a very big, cowardly character. And there's that shot as well in the movie where they're in this very clean house and they're eating all the food like pigs, and they're shown as being very gluttonous people. I feel like Bong Joon-ho really showed the divide between rich and poor, but also showed the flaws between the two classes. You are a brainlet. The director specifically said that you aren't meant to side with either family. Exactly. That's the vibe I got from the movie. Both families are acting the way our society and capitalism expect them to act. This movie is great, a great test to see if someone is or not. If they side with either family, they're if they recognize what the movie is about and what it's trying to depict, they aren't I'm gonna try that next time I have a date with a lady to see if it's a fit or not. I'm gonna show her Parasite and see if she sides with the family. Good litmus test there. And also, just because a movie is a critique of capitalism doesn't necessarily mean they're pro-communism or pro-socialism. I don't think there's a flawless political system out there. And you know what? You can make movies where you promote capitalism. We've seen many tales where it's about a guy who comes from nothing and works hard and becomes a millionaire by the end of the movie. There's plenty of those kinds of movies. That's a movie that would promote capitalism. And there are movies that criticize capitalism. I don't think it's inherently bad or they mean, oh, we should go to flat out communism. Digital has been a disaster for television and film. I half agree with that. It hasn't been a disaster for television. And disaster is a strong word. I wouldn't use the word disaster. I think digital obviously made it so that TV shows can compete with movies that come out in the cinema. You can watch a TV show on HBO or Netflix and it basically has the same production value as something you would watch in the cinema. When it comes to film, however, and especially films that come out in the theater, listen, the margin is becoming very narrow between television and film. It used to be you'd watch something on TV, All in the Family, let's say, and it looked very TV. And then you'd go to the cinema and you'd watch something like Alien, and it would look very cinematic. And that gap is shrinking. It's partly because it's becoming more affordable to do very high-end productions, which is why TV is on the come up. And meanwhile, film is trying to take some shortcuts, which is why film is kind of going on the down. Listen, there's so many YouTube channels that I follow that just talk about 16mm film, 35mm film, and I look at these guys' subscribers and they have millions of subscribers. There's a channel I especially like called Analog Resurgence. He does photography and film. I feel like people like the look and aesthetic of 16mm film, especially because it has a more rugged look, but even 35mm or 70mm, the way you want to bring that gap back up, make it harder to compete with cinema, putting it on film is not a bad idea. It has a really nice look to it. I can see where this anon is coming from, but I think disaster is a strong word. If film is trying to compete with television, which is it's struggling to do, I don't think it's a bad idea to go back to traditional film. Film is great, but the democratization of digital has created a new space for filmmakers. I would agree. Yeah, that's definitely for sure. Look at a movie like Tangerine. That movie was completely shot on an iPhone, and if it weren't for digital, that couldn't be a thing, and I really like the movie Tangerine. Cringe. Film is expensive and outdated. Fuck off. Yikes. That guy is not happy. Will it be Kino? And the picture is from the Lightyear movie that's coming out. I'm gonna go off on a limb and say no. I did not like Toy Story 4. I didn't see The Incredibles 2, nor did I want to see Incredibles 2. I think the only good Pixar movie to come out in recent memory or of interest to me was Soul. And even that, it's not like it's like peak Pixar. Luca, no one really cared for. This new one, Turning Red, kind of just looks like a stink bomb in my opinion. Will it be Kino? I don't think so. I think critics are gonna love it. I think audiences are gonna love it. It's gonna do the classic Rotten Tomatoes Disney trend where it comes out and, what? 95% on Rotten Tomatoes? And then like 3 weeks later it's a 74 and then like people don't care. At least bring back Tim Allen, you know? But they don't even have Tim Allen. Is it because he's a closet Republican? Maybe. Most likely, yes. And not closet, I'm sorry, he's full-blown out of the closet. He's proud to be Republican! I was excited at first, but then I realized the odds Pixar is actually goes to go through with a mature character study is near zero. They'll pussy out and make yet another mediocre kid film that's too afraid to say anything relevant. Every review of these Pixar movies, it's like, onward, the ending will make you cry. I feel like it's become a Pixar trope. It's like I'm expecting it. I'm expecting it to be like a kid's movie, and at the end they're gonna try to trick people with a sobby message, and people will remember the ending and think it applies for the whole film. That's what happened to me with Inside Out. Inside Out was kind of boring for the whole movie, but then the message of the film at the end was like, you gotta let sadness into your heart, and everyone was like, oh my god, it made me cry. And I was like, that was like the last 10 minutes, dude. They might try to pull that off with Lightyear. I assume they're not even gonna bother trying that. This one is not even film related, but for some reason it was on the film board and I needed to throw it in. So you got Tucker Carlson here. This dialogue is meant to sound like Tucker Carlson, so I'll whip out my best Tucker Carlson impression. Imagine for a second that all M&Ms tasted the same. That a green and a red chocolate candy had the same flavor. And that getting rid of green M&Ms was fine. Obviously, you would say that is absurd. And you'd be right. But but Joe Biden would disagree. That was such a good post. I had to fucking put in this video. I'm sorry. Tell me if you like this segment. It's something a little new. And yeah, I'll see you guys around.